Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And we happen to have a guest today who is in the middle of the adventure of her lifetime. She's done a bunch of different stuff, and now she's a coach. She's an author. She works predominantly with women to help them get out of where they is, and hopefully where they're going to be and stuff. But Angie, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Good. How are you, Kevin? Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm always awesome. That's a rule I have around here and stuff. But I wanted to talk to you. I love your website, which is called hold on just a second, and it is called runninginslippers.com, which also, oddly enough, is the name of your book.
Yes.
Tell us about the book and running in slippers and everything about how you wrote it and what your idea was and how that you've been able to make that all work.
Yes. So Running in Slippers is a memoir. It covers a 5-year period of my life that was pretty messy. I call it a train wreck that you can't look away from. It starts when my boyfriend broke up with me, and shortly thereafter, my dad passed away. And this was at a time in my life where I was seeking love and happiness and everything outside of myself. So that's just foreshadowing how it was a train wreck, because it never works out well when you approach life that way. But it had to get to the point where I hit rock bottom before I actually changed. And that entire journey is in the book. It's extremely vulnerable. The reason I wrote it that way is because I feel like what we see on social media is profoundly filtered and edited. And even in real life, we put on a happy face. And when people ask us how we're doing, we pretend everything is fine. And the truth is, life is really hard. And I don't feel like we're talking about the hard things that happen to us. So the entire goal of the book is connection through vulnerability.
Oh, very, very good. Because you're right. Life is not as easy as we would like it to be. And there are moments in time, and all of us, and tell me if you agree with this, I think all of us, and as I say in the opening, all of us face a moment in time when we say, okay, what I've been doing so far ain't working so good. So why am I really here? And what am I really here to do? And what's the best way to go about finding those answers?
Yes. And that moment happened to me in my book. And the reason I share my story is because you're correct. I feel like everyone has that moment. I share my story because I don't feel like you should have to hit a rock bottom to come to that realization. So I share my story so that other people can use me as a cautionary tale and not do what I did.
Well, when I was a kid and my dad would say, don't do that because you're not going to like the outcome. And I would do it anyway. Yeah. Most people are kind of that way. We've got to experience the rock bottom ourselves before we can really take somebody's advice. But that's one of the reasons why you're coaching now.
Exactly. Because I want to help other people, because I wish I had someone like me when I was going through my hard time.
And going through your hard time, I call mine, you call yours a train wreck. I call mine a bad country music song, period. where my dad also passed away, which happens, and my dog died, my wife left, and I lost my house, and I declared bankruptcy, and I got sued for $50,000. I hit a bridge with a truck, and all that in about a 3-year period. It was quite amazing.
Oh, Oh yeah. So we definitely have parallels. I had about a 2.5 year period where it was just like thing after thing after thing. But where I was going wrong is because I was seeking love and happiness and everything outside of myself, because my external world was falling apart, I was internally falling apart.
Yeah.
But
And that
in all
happens.
fairness, either of our situations would have drove any mentally healthy person sane. So there's that.
Well, it's just one of those things, it's like what's going to happen next,
Yeah.
and it just continues and continues and stuff. But at the same time, there was a point in time when I righted my own ship, and I ended up driving a bus for 12 years so that I could financially be okay and take care of my kids, because the former better half was not such a better half after all, but that's just me. In any event, you work with women, especially at the end of summer, and they've been taking care of people all summer long, and they've been doing all these things for other folks, but they're not necessarily doing anything for themselves, and that can be a problem, can't it?
Absolutely. There's obviously nothing wrong with taking care of other people, especially if you are in a caretaker position. For instance, being a mother, you have a responsibility to take care of your kids, of course. But it's like the age-old metaphor of putting on your oxygen mask first. I think a lot of women fall into a trap of always putting the other person first and not taking care of ourselves. And like that's where the magic happens, because everybody else around us benefits when we're taking care of ourselves, when we're happy and fulfilled on our own, because that radiates around us to the people we're caretaking even, and then we're serving as an example for those people. So it's like this exponential effect. It's just harder to recognize.
And when you are taking care of other folks and you're not taking care of yourself long term, isn't that a recipe for disaster?
Yes, the main reason is because you will start to feel very resentful. And again, whatever you're feeling, you're kind of branching that out to the people in your immediate surroundings. So, for instance, if you're taking care of your kids and you start to feel resentful because you can't do the thing that you want to do, you're going to start to, whether subconsciously or consciously, take that out on your kids or whoever you're caretaking, or even at work. So that's why you want to create this environment within you that is happy and positive. And not that it has to be like that all the time, because we're human beings, because whatever is within you is what you're going to transfer to the people around you. So yes, if you are not taking care of yourself, the long-term consequence of that is feeling very resentful, among other things, because you're going to also feel exhausted and depleted and burned out as well.
Well, and what some people don't realize is when you make this shift, like working with you and making this shift to look inside rather than exterior stuff, it affects more than just yourself. It affects your family and your relationships and your work life. It can really have far-reaching effects, can't it?
Absolutely. I actually call my coaching program Shine from the Inside. And the whole concept is based on the fact that we're all born with this light inside of us. And as we go through life, society or family systems slowly dim that light. So it's about rekindling your light. But not only does that benefit you, it's going to benefit your immediate people around you, because again, like it's like the sun shining on the earth. The plants benefit, the humans benefit, animals benefit from that sun. And not only that, just to get a little woo woo, I feel like you're either contributing to raising the vibration of the universe or contributing to the fear propaganda and anger and everything else that's going on right now. So not only are you happy, you're inspiring everyone around you to be happy and fulfilled and take care of themselves, but you're also contributing to raising the vibration of the entire universe. So yes, it's this exponential effect that sometimes is hard to see, but it's there and it's real.
And I just want to make sure everybody's clear that when we start talking about energy, we're not talking about woo-woo stuff. We're talking about actually grounded science, because Einstein proved it, Tesla proved it.
Yeah.
The modern scientists are now saying, "Hey, maybe this energy thing is a thing."
Yeah, woo woo is actually physics. I actually saw something recently on social media where this scientist, well, I just use quotation, but he was actually a scientist. He was like, "Oh, I just discovered moon water." Like, women have been doing that for years. Like, he did not discover anything.
No, but it's because it wasn't in his world,
Right.
and so consequently, when it came into his world, he was like, "Why didn't I think of this before? What a wonderful thing!"
Yes, I
And
also recommend charging your water under the full moon.
well, there is science around that as well, and we. I've been doing this a while, and it amazes me how little we actually know about what's really going on in and around us, and with the chakras, and with all of the energy systems that we have. And they're just now tapping the surface of some of those things that we can then look at, and they're like going, "This is new, this is brand new." It's exactly like, when the Hubble telescope went up, and they said, "Well, the universe, we don't know. It's not that, it probably isn't that big." And now they've discovered that there are trillions of galaxies, and that means trillions upon trillions of stars. I was reading something that said the number of planets in our universe is like one followed by 25 zeros. They don't even have a number, or they don't even have a name for that number yet.
I was just going to say, I don't even know what that would be called, but apparently nobody else does either.
No. Well, it's a name that it is so beyond comprehension that we cannot wrap our little minds around it. So that's why it's important for us to wrap our little minds around what we can control,
Yes.
which is who we are and how we show up in the world, right?
Absolutely. And yeah, that's where I was misguided for so much of my life, because I lost control of my own identity to the point where I didn't even know who I was. And I had to rebuild that from the ground up.
And that is a very common thing, because
Yes, it is.
especially for women, because you were convinced early on that you were a caretaker and that you needed to take care of everybody and learn how to cook and clean and do all that kind of stuff, and that your needs were secondary, when actually the reverse is true.
Absolutely. It is huge societal conditioning. And that's another thing. I've just gotten to a point in my life where I just question all of these society rules, because who comes up with them? We're all just arbitrarily following.
Oh, I know. It's some man somewhere came up with these rules, because
Probably.
no woman would make these rules that they've had to follow throughout history.
Yeah. So I just make my own rules now, because I was living by society rules for too long, and that did not work out well at all. So now I make my own rules for life.
Well, and you were, as I was reading your bio, I believe at one time you had a hoity-toity corporate job, and you were really a big deal there.
Yeah, so that's another thing, because I was in the corporate world for over 20 years, because I thought that's what you were supposed to do, have a stable job that had stable benefits, blah, 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 blah. Again, I don't even really know what the reasoning is, but I was so miserable and so unaligned with who I really wanted to be. And I finally had to wake up and be like, what am I even doing? So yeah, I quit my corporate job. I made decent money, but I quit all of that to start my coaching business, because it's so much more aligned with who I am and what I want to be doing.
You know, I did the same thing when I wanted to go into radio in 2003. And I'm sure, tell me if this was your experience. I had people who said, you know, I love you, but you're going to leave your district sales manager job and you're going to do what? You're going to become a talk show host on a radio. You know, you're not going to make any money. I'm just trying to tell you this because I love you. You're not going to make any money doing that, and you're going to starve. And what about your responsibility? You know, all these people throw all this stuff at you. Was that your experience?
Actually, not, because I had done the work to change my inner beliefs, change my behaviors, therefore change the people I was surrounded with. There are many past versions of me who would have come up against that, and trust me, there was still that critical inner voice in my head that was saying that. But I'm actually surrounded with a lot of loving, supportive people now, and they all knew how miserable I was in corporate America, so they were actually really happy for me. But I know exactly what you're saying, and you do come up against that because those are society rules. Like, you don't go against the grain, you don't step out of the box.
No, as a matter of fact, when I was doing the radio show, I went to where I used to work, a U.S. food service, and they were having a dinner. And one of the guys that I'd worked with came up to me. He'd had a little too much to drink at the time. And he said, I gotta tell you, I admire you for doing that. I hate my job, but I gotta stay here. And so he immersed himself in alcohol to get through it. And that wasn't a guy. I don't know how he ended up. I hope he ended up well, but it's important for people to understand who they are and follow their inner direction. But some folks, most of us, need help with that because it's really hard for us to look in the mirror and see what's actually there. Is that true?
Yes, because I had to get coaching myself to pull me out of my rock bottom. And it takes a lot of really hard self-reflection, which can bring up a lot of shame because there's some harsh truths that you have to face. A lot of it revolves around taking accountability for how you contributed to the things that happened to you, because you do play a role in everything.
Oh, so, no, we don't play. No, I'm not responsible for this. It's them. It's all them. By the way, we're talking with Angie Hawkins, and we will be back in just a second. We just need to take a 45-second break, and we'll be right back, Angie. And go to her website, which again is called
runninginslippers.com.
And when we come back, I want to ask you where the name came from. I love the name. It's, but I suspect there's a story behind there somewhere, and we'll be right back.
You became a real estate agent for freedom, success, and real momentum. So why are you still stuck waiting for closings to save you? I'm Ophir Adar, founder of Real Momentum, and I help agents like you become seven-figure earners. My first client that I coached, brand new agent, made $250,000 back in 2006. What's the secret? You feed your white wolf. That's the part of you that's bold and unstoppable and a closer and able to build rapport quickly. So click Get Listings at Real Momentum and let's unleash your real estate potential.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, and Angie Hawkins is with us, and she is a coach. She is an author. She was in the corporate world for longer than a human should be. Anyway, and she's a dynamic personality, and she's got a book out, and the name of the book is called Running in Slippers, and you can go to her website, which is runninginslippers.com, oddly enough. And Angie, I got to ask you, Running in Slippers, there's a story there. Can you tell us?
There is a story. It's actually contained in the introduction of the book, so I will not spoil it. But overall, running in slippers, well, first of all, slippers really means flip-flops, because I live in Hawaii, and in Hawaii, flip-flops are called slippers. So it really means running in flip-flops. So the overall metaphor is, it's a metaphor for life, because life can be fun, adventurous, and playful, or it can be dangerous, scary, and hurt, just like running in slippers.
I remember when I was a kid and I wore flip-flops. In those days, we called them thongs, but now thongs are completely something else.
Well, they call them thongs in Australia. So,
oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And so I obviously you've been to Australia.
Yeah.
And they got the 9 poisonous snakes, and I'd say I don't like snakes. So in any event,
I hate snakes, but I never saw any in Australia. I've been there 3 times. Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. And but I stubbed my toe a lot when I was wearing my flip flops when I was a kid. So I haven't worn them in years now. But so it was, you were wearing flip flops. Was that because that wasn't your corporate dress?
Well, now that I live in Hawaii, all I wear are flip flops, unless I'm like dressed up and wearing heels, or running and wearing running shoes. But that's all I wear is flip flops.
Which island are you on?
Oahu.
It's a beautiful island. I love that island. And it's a combination of, it's got the nightlife and it's also got the natural elements to it, which is really cool. Are you not a scuba diver, but a snorkel-y person?
No, but I'm a surfer.
Oh, it's the next best thing. Just watch for those little fins that they might think that you're a seal or something. But
I've actually seen sharks surfing. Once you get the first time over with, it's not that bad.
Oh, well, that's good until it is that bad. But I because I love snorkeling because the water's warm and it's the marine life is just beautiful, and it's terrific. So you're in Hawaii now. How did you end up in Hawaii?
Oh, it's a long story. Well, first of all, when I was a little girl, I had a Hawaii Barbie that had hair down to her butt. And that was so fascinating to me. And I even from a young age, I was just fixated on Hawaii, and I was fascinated with Hawaii. But then as an adult, I had a friend who lived here maybe 5 years. I think she lived here 2007 to 2012. And I would visit her every year. And I wanted to live here so much, but I had all these limiting beliefs as to why I couldn't. It's too expensive, it's too far away, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then she eventually moved away. So then my limiting belief was, I don't know anybody there. And then after my dad passed away, and again, my boyfriend broke up with me, then my dad passed away, and I was 37 years old, and I had spent 37 years running away from my feelings, not feeling my feelings. And when you're plummeted into that kind of grief, you basically have no choice. I couldn't have avoided my feelings if I wanted to. But the good part about it was it actually made me think about my life and what I had been doing and how it wasn't working. So I decided I wanted to make some changes. So I decided to move from Chicago to Hawaii, which on one hand was a good idea because I was actually trying to do something better with my life and make some changes that would make me happy. The misguided part about it was I was still reaching for something outside of myself to be the thing that made me happy. So I was expecting that my location would make me a happier person. And that was the lesson I had to learn once I moved here, because that was not the case.
Well, just to move from Chicago to, which of course the weather there is not perfect in the wintertime, and to Hawaii, where if you've never been to Hawaii, I just have to tell you, there are restaurants that you can go to and the walls don't go all the way down to the floor, and cats are in and amongst the restaurants, and it never gets all that cold, and it's it's heaven on earth, and they have no snakes that I'm aware of.
No snakes.
So, and by the way, if you are watching this, you want me to ask this, so I will. If you're listening to this, she's wearing some earrings that are just beautiful. Are those real flowers?
They are real. They're orchids.
And so they're orchids in in earrings, I guess.
Yeah, I have hoop earrings, and I just basically strung them on my hoop earrings.
Oh, very good. I have no idea what any of that means because I'm a dude, and
For the women listening, they will know.
yeah, the women will have a good idea, but you are a coach, and I assume because you're in Hawaii that you work remotely with a lot of people.
Yes, I do. And I'm flexible with time zones because we're like in a whole different time zone.
Well, yeah, because it is, as an example, it is 3:27 p.m. my time right now, and it is 5 hours behind.
Apparently only 3. It's 12:27.
Oh, great! And so that's perfect for you. But you make the adjustments for time zones and stuff because, like on the East Coast, it's a 6-hour time difference.
Yes, and Europe is 11 or 12. I actually like the Australia time difference because even though it's a day ahead, it's only a few hours behind.
I'm sorry that I don't think that computed in my head. They're a day ahead, but a few hours behind.
So in Australia, I think so. It's 12:30 p.m. here on what day is today? Tuesday.
Most of the day, yeah.
Okay, so in Australia, it's Wednesday, but it's like 10:30 a.m. So it's only a few hour time difference, even though it's a day ahead.
Do you ever ask the people that you're talking to in Australia? So how's the rest of my day going to go? Because they're a day ahead. They've already experienced today because it's tomorrow.
It is really trippy. Actually, I talked to a girl from New Zealand a few weeks ago, and they're only, I think, an hour behind, a day ahead, and that was really weird talking to her.
That would be trippy. Yeah. So you work with people from around the world, and predominantly women that are interested in figuring out, and everybody goes through this at one point in time. You can be 26 or 96, but at one point you're going to say, why am I really here? And what can I do to make myself feel better and to live the life and the quality life that I deserve to live? Is that kind of true?
That is true. Basically, I help them stop seeking love and approval outside of themselves and radiate it from within, because when you are happy and fulfilled within, you're naturally attracting the life that you want. And again, I think that's the part that people don't understand. It's like they want to feel better and have all these other things, but being that like happy, vibrant person is the thing that attracts all this stuff to you.
And remember when I was telling you about, I was saying to you that everybody in your world was saying, oh, no, you can't do that, and you've got to follow. But the fact of the matter is, since you'd already made the energetic adjustments, those people were no longer prevalent in your life, and they had been replaced by people who vibrated at an energy level that was more suitable to you. Am I correct?
Yes, and that's actually a perfect example. Or even the whole corporate job falling away because I was aligning to who I truly was. I started to feel the disconnect even more. And
yeah.
I mean,
go ahead.
Like your whole environment changes. Like my job changed, my friend circle changed, my family dynamics are different, but all of those changes started within me. And it can be hard because I have lost friends, but they weren't the kind of people that I wanted to be friends with anyway. And I think as a society, we don't talk about how hard friendship breakups can be, because I don't want to minimize that, because it can be hard. But on the other side, that opens you up for higher quality people that are a better match for you.
When I was married and it came to the end of that time, all our friends, because we've been married for 24 years, it was the best 6 months of my life. But we'd been married for 24 years. And so all of our friends were couple friends from that period of time. And they all left. And they all went with her, because when you break up like that, somebody's got to make a decision. And so they all left. But you know what? I'm happier now than I've ever been in my entire life, because they have been replaced with people who get me at my core.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. And it wasn't easy, right, when they first left, but now.
Oh, no. I keep telling people, if I had a gun at that time, things might have been turning out a little bit differently, but I didn't. And I don't believe in them, so I didn't have one and stuff. So, but there was a moment in time, and it was like, why does everybody leave? As a matter of fact, when she moved out, she had a group of our friends that came and helped her move out, and packed up her stuff and helped get her settled in the new place and stuff, which left me alone with just my sons to clean up everything and to do all that. It was a horrifically awful experience, because you don't think that people are just going to walk away from you like that. But at the same time, it worked out just eminently better for me.
Oh, good. Glad to hear that.
It was a challenge. Well, just like you, when friends fall away and they leave. Now, help me here, because I've had friends that I've been very close to. One I haven't talked to in 40 years, but he is responsible for me changing my life and going in a different direction. And then he went away. And then 20 years later, I had another gentleman who did the same exact thing and helped me make the decision to understand and to get into radio. And now he's been gone 20 years. So I'm a firm believer, and tell me if you think I need medication, but I'm a firm believer that they came into my life for that particular reason. And then they left because they had fulfilled their purpose and were going on to do things in their own life. Does that make any sense at all?
That makes total sense. You definitely do not need medication. No, that was actually a hard lesson for me to learn, because I used to think that a friend is someone that you stay with forever, because we look at romantic relationships as something that may not last forever. But I spent a lot of my life not looking at friendships that way. It's like, we're friends now. Why wouldn't we be friends in 50 years? But people change. If we want to get into the energetic side, I do believe that people, like if you, for example, wouldn't have made the decision to go into radio on your own, yes, I do believe that that person had to come in and fulfill that purpose for that reason, and then step away for whatever reason. So I firmly believe that there are people who are here to usher us on our paths, and they may not be around forever, and that's okay.
And you just said the magic words. That's okay. We need to take our halftime break, because I've gone over our halftime break, because I'm having such a good time talking to Angie. Go to her website, by the way, which again is called runninginslippers.com. And we need to take a break right now. With just a minute and 10 seconds. Everybody relax. We'll be right back. Just stay right where you are, Angie.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, and Angie Hawkins is our guest, and she's pretty awesome actually, and she's got a book that's out there, and you can pick that up, I'm assuming, at Amazon and Barnes and Noble and all that kind of good stuff. And go ahead.
I was just going to say it's on paperback, Kindle, and audiobook.
Oh, good. Well, and I did not know this, but audiobooks are now a thing. Because
that's why I did the audiobook, because everyone loves them.
Yeah, everybody likes to go if they're going to go surfing or although you wouldn't want it to fall into the water, but or running and stuff, or just sitting on the bus on the way to work. Which, by the way, on your island, and I know this for a fact, that the buses, because it's one big circle. The buses go make right turns, but they don't make left turns. Kinda, sorta.
Well, that has to do with the poor. That's a whole separate story.
I know. I loved Oahu. It was a wonderful place.
Buses probably don't make, it's impossible to make a left turn because there's very few left turn arrows at intersections, and it's so inefficient. So even I try not to make left turns if I don't have to.
Well, it's a great place to be, and I'm glad that you're there, because that is part of your fulfillment of your soul is to do that and to be there, right?
I think so. Yes. Especially my whole surfing journey. Because I used to not even like the ocean. I never got in the ocean for a long time. And that was my benefit of COVID, because the only thing that was open was the ocean. And that's how I learned to surf. And that's been another trajectory of my life story.
Which is really cool. I don't think I have the balance to be able to do that, but that doesn't matter. But I want to talk to you about, because I was looking at your website. And please go there, because she's got a list of questions for you that if you can start answering these questions and start checking the boxes, as it were, you'll discover, oh, I didn't know I was that unhappy. But you can now have an opportunity to have somebody help you get through that. And a coach is the best thing to do, because they don't have a vested interest in making you feel good necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I want everyone to feel good, but yeah, I mean,
it's a process.
You want to feel ultimately.
Well, it's like one of those. I have a coach, and I'll say something, and she'll say, "Okay, so let's break that down. What did you exactly mean by that?" And which makes you think at a whole different level. You think about things that you may never have thought of before.
But that's the value in it, right? Because
exactly,
one of the first things I learned to do as a coachee was question everything I do and why I do it. And I learned a lot of things about myself that way, because I learned why I was doing so many dysfunctional behaviors. And I was like, oh, yeah, I might not want to do that anymore.
And I've told this story before, but I'll just tell it real quick, is that we do things just out of habit and we don't know why. But then I, as an example, in my case, I don't put the vacuum cleaner away. So the vacuum cleaner still is sitting out in my living room. I vacuumed it yesterday. It's still not put away. It's still out in my living room, because when I was a kid and my mother said, you can't go out and play until you clean your room. So I got motivated and I cleaned my room. I got the vacuum cleaner out. I vacuumed the whole thing, vacuumed under the bed, did all of that, and put the vacuum cleaner away, shut the door. And then when she came home, she said, I said, can I go play now? And she said, no, you didn't clean your room. She didn't even walk into the room. And I said, but I've cleaned my room. And she said, no, you didn't. And I said, yes, I did. She said, no, you didn't. You know how I know? The vacuum cleaner isn't out. And so, and it was 20 years before I figured out that was my protest song about the vacuum cleaner, because she called me a liar and I had actually done a really good job. So, you know what I mean?
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. Actually, before you even told that story, I knew it went back to your childhood, because 95% of the time that is the case.
Yep.
And again, we're just arbitrarily following rules that happened when we were children or teenagers, and we don't even question why we're doing it.
I had a guy when I was 6 or 7 years old, and we were at a friend's house, and my friend had to leave, and there was another guy there, and now this is the 6-year-old kid that I was talking to, and I said, what do you want to do now? And he looked at me and he said, get lost. And I said, okay, I'm lost. And he said, no, I mean, really, get lost, get out of here. And I carried that as a scar for me, for a lack of acceptance for well over 20 years, until I figured out that I was attributing this to a 6-year-old little brat. And, you know what I mean? We do that.
Trust me. Yeah, I have stories too. I do things like that too. Well, actually, my core belief that was ruining my life was that I believed that I didn't deserve to be loved, because both of my parents were extremely emotionally unavailable. And as an adult, I've done the inner work. I have compassion. I have logic. I totally understand it. But as a child, the only way I could interpret that was like, oh, I don't deserve to be loved. And that carried with me until I hit my rock bottom. And I'm like, this is not working for me. But even then, I didn't identify the reason for my downfall as that limiting belief. But as I started doing the inner work, that's what it was. And it was, it's shocking, right? Because it's like, oh, when I was 6, I thought this, and now I'm 40 and I still think it. And it's crazy how those things stick with you, but they do.
It's a little voice that's in your head says, get lost, kid. And now my sister is an example. My father was by and large unavailable to her. She's carried that. She's 73 now. She's carried that her whole life. And he didn't know any better. And right. It was, but that's why someone like you can be really helpful, because you can help somebody get through those things to live the life that they were actually destined to live, but are thwarting it in themselves.
Yeah, because usually you need someone outside of you to identify that. Because again, I didn't realize that was my thing until I started coaching. But then you start talking to someone and you're like, oh yeah, now I remember when I was cleaning my room, and now I remember this kid. And like, once it comes to the forefront, and it's basically learning how to be self-aware, because eventually you won't need a coach and things come up and you're able to go through that thought process on your own.
But in order to, and I firmly believe this, in order to get through that gunk and open yourself up enough, you need an unbiased source who has your best interest at heart, but is able and willing to ask you those hard questions that need to be asked.
Yes, because there is a lot of self-reflection involved. And if you were like me, I had not done a lot of that work. I did up until the point that I hit rock bottom. I had actually done a lot of what I call spiritual bypassing. So it's like I would go to yoga and do, meditate with crystals and do all of those things. And it would feel good in the moment. But that deep inner work where you really have to look at yourself, it may not feel good in the moment, but that's where the lasting change is. And it feels really good on the other side.
It does. And I'm willing to bet, sitting here, Angie, that there are millions, if not billions, of women that feel like they're not lovable for whatever reason.
Sure. Honestly, there's probably men as well, but yes,
are
a lot of people. Yes.
And so your job, your mission now is to help women understand that they are lovable and they can be who they are and still be loved. Is that right?
Correct, because I was in this trap where I felt like because I didn't believe I inherently deserved to be loved, I was caught in the trap of performing for it. It showed up a lot in corporate America, but it also showed up a lot in friendships or relationships. It's like I was always chasing and doing things to be loved. But when it all comes back to like finding my identity and figuring out who I am. And now I just am. Like, I am me, and that's how I show up in the world. I don't have to like do or prove anything. And, going back to some of the topics we were talking about, like friends and job situations, the things that aren't meant for you, when you're showing up like that, the things that aren't meant for you will naturally fall away. And then the better things that are operating at that higher vibration are the things that are going to come in and fill that space.
I'm willing to bet that your employment would be one of those things, because when you go through this process, you're actually changing.
Yes.
And the person that you were no longer exists.
Yeah, I mean, I actually wish I had videos of how I used to be, because I had zero self-worth. Like, even how I'm dressed right now, like, this is who I am, but I was afraid to show up like this because I didn't want to be judged for having flower earrings or wearing my statement glasses. And now I just really don't care, but that attracts who's meant to be in my circle.
And by the way, I told you before the show, I'll tell you again, I love those glasses. They're
Yeah. So you're in my tribe.
Exactly. Again, we're talking with Angie Hawkins. We need to take a quick break, but I want you to listen to this, Angie. I did this myself, and this is a core belief of mine. So listen to this. The strength of staying kind from your friends at Positive Talk Radio. Kindness is not weakness. It takes real strength to stay kind in a world that often rewards anger, ego, and control. Being kind means choosing to act from your values, not your wounds. It means showing grace even when no one's watching. But kindness doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean letting people take advantage of your time, your energy, or your peace. You can be kind and still say no. You have a soft heart with firm boundaries. The strongest people I know are the ones who choose compassion without losing themselves. They've been hurt. They've been tested. And still, they choose to love and lead and to lift others anyway. Kindness is not about pleasing everybody. It's about honoring who you are and how you treat others, even when it's hard. So stay kind, stay human, and stay strong. And always remember this: be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got. And again, we're talking with, Angie Hawkins. What did you think, Angie?
I loved that. That was beautiful.
It is a core belief in my life, because I've been a vice president and traveled around and played in hoity-toity golf tournaments and all that. And I also drove a bus in Seattle for the bottom 3% for 12 years, and for people that didn't have $2 for bus fare. And so I learned that we're all together, and being kind to everybody doesn't cost you any money. That's the thing.
Yeah, and I there's a lot of things I don't understand, but I don't understand people who are just angry and mean to people. Well, they probably have their own trauma that they're dealing with, but I don't know. It makes my heart sad.
It does me too, and it too, so much so, because I also grew up in the restaurant business. And I will tell you that if I go out to dinner with somebody and they are mean to the wait staff just because they can, I want nothing to do with them forever and ever. Amen.
Totally agree. You can tell so much by someone for doing that.
Yeah, and nobody deserves that. These people are trying to work hard to do their job, and even if they're not doing it well, that's no excuse for you to be that way. And I love the work that you're doing. If somebody wants to get a hold of you and reach out to you, what's the best way to do it?
The best way is through my website. There is a contact form. My email address is also on there. I do offer free coaching calls for first-time clients. It's an hour call, and we'll talk about whatever issues you're having. And I will help as much as I can on the call because it is an hour, so we can get some stuff done. If I can't finish in an hour, I can give you options for further working with me, or if my program is not a good fit, I know other coaches and have other resources. So the entire goal of the call is to get you help, whether it's with my program or otherwise.
Well, and for those of you that haven't experienced a coach like that, it is unusual to have I've seen lots of, well, we'll do a 15-minute call to see if we're a good fit. You can't figure out anything in 15 minutes.
No, because what you find a lot of times, especially if people haven't done a lot of the inner work, if you start asking them questions, because again, you and I can identify, like you knew exactly why you left the vacuum cleaner out. And I'm kind of at that point in my life too. But if someone hasn't done that level of self-discovery, when you start asking them questions, the answer is usually like, I don't know, and you have to like drag it out of them. And that takes more than 30 minutes most of the time. So I like an hour to actually be able to work on something and give the opportunity to have a quick win on the call. And then if we want to continue working together, we can do that too.
I've got to ask you this question because I saw this. This was my former better half, who was a very superficial kind of person. She didn't do much deep work for herself. And a coach looked at her, and it was a group coaching call, a meeting. And it was in the days when you could do one that was, in front of people. And the coach said, so tell me, how do you really feel? She started crying, and she couldn't stop crying, but she couldn't verbalize why she was crying because she didn't figure out. And so she desperately needed a coach. Yeah. Because you can figure that out. Do you ever have anybody do that when you say, how do you really feel? When they burst into tears?
Actually, I haven't had that. I actually like that because I feel like she was at least open to getting help, even though she wasn't able to verbalize it. What I have had is people who are so resistant to expressing their feelings that they don't open up at all. And it's like, they're just not a good coaching fit for me. I think they need someone who's more specialized in trauma therapy or something, which is not my level of expertise. But I have had people who are so resistant that I don't think they're coachable, at least for my program. But I actually like that story because I feel like she wanted help and she was able to express her emotions. She just needed someone to talk through it and figure out what the root of that emotion was.
Yeah, and then she immediately clammed up and never said anything about it again. But your point's well taken, but that's the thing. If you cannot help somebody who doesn't want to be helped until they're ready, and a lot of times, remember that bottom that we were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
It's when you get to that bottom, then maybe you'll have planted the seed, and then they'll say, all right, I get it. Okay, now you got to help me.
Yeah, but I don't want people to get there. I know what you're saying. Like, I had to get there, you had to get there, but I don't want other people to go through that.
It would be nice, but I don't know that that's the human condition because we don't look at it that way. But then at the same time, when you were going through your dark period and your boyfriend left, you didn't believe that you were lovable, and you didn't believe that you deserved love. Is that right?
That is correct. But I think the turning point that I had a rock bottom was I just had this moment of sheer hopelessness because I had lived my entire life believing I didn't deserve to be loved. All of these things were reflecting that back to me. And I just felt like there was no hope for the future. And that is honestly one of the worst places you can be. Because it's one thing to be like stressed out and, oh, I can't take this, because I've been there many times in my life. But just to have that sheer level of hopelessness is extremely dangerous. And I think a lot of people go through that.
They do. And by the way, you're delightful.
Oh, thank you.
And you have a bright ray of sunshine and energy about you, and you can tell. At least I can tell. You've been through the tough times, and you've come through those times. Unfortunately, there's some people who really do need therapy because they get stuck in those dark times, and then they take drastic action, which hopefully nobody does that anymore, but it happens. But you're delightful, and it's great to have you here. I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you. So have I.
And we need, let's see. Oh, we got 5 minutes, so you can tell our audience anything that you would like them to know.
Well, I do have a few promotions.
Goody. We love promotions.
So one is until August 31st, I am having a promotion on my coaching. It's $1,000 off. So if you schedule a connection call with me before the end of August, then you will be eligible for that discount. I am also hosting an Unshakable You masterclass on September 20th. It's basically a workshop where I will give away like 3 key points on how to build up your confidence, because obviously it's something that happens over time, but I'm going to share a few quick wins that you can do immediately, and also some exercises that you can work on over time to help build up your confidence. And if you attend the live call, there will be a recording if you cannot attend live, but if you can attend live on September 20th, then there will also be another discount provided in that call.
Good for you. Good for you. And I highly suggest going to her website, which again is
runninginslippers.com.
runninginslippers.com, and reaching out to her because, like I said, everybody needs a coach. And she has her heart in the right place. And it is full, and so she has enough to give some to you, and she can help you understand why, as an example, why you're dating the same guy in a different suit.
Exactly. And again, there's no shame if you are, because I was there too. So.
Well, but it's all a growth process and stuff. Yeah. But you will learn who is there for you and who is not. Because I don't, it's hard for me to fathom now, because I'm a little older now, to be disingenuous and not be who you really are. Because this is who I am day in and day. This is who you are day in and day out. And there are people who still play that game. I got to be nice. I got to do this. I don't want to do, and stuff like that. So they need somebody to help them through it.
Yeah, because honestly, living that way, because again, I did that too. It's so exhausting. It's so unfulfilling, and you deserve so much better than that.
We all do. And but we go through most of our lives with people saying, you ain't so great.
Yep, unfortunately.
And so sometimes we have to be our own best self advocate.
Yes, that was one of the hardest lessons I've learned. But again, when your worth is internally sourced, that's not a problem.
Exactly. Explain that real quick.
Because when your worth is internally sourced, if someone tells me that I'm not all that, it will probably sting for a few seconds, but who are they to be telling me who I am and what my worth is? They don't decide my worth. I do.
Exactly. That old saying that I love. It's none of my business what you think of me.
Exactly. I love that saying.
Because ultimately it's none of my business, and quite frankly, I don't really care. I do know this. You're not going to be in my world for very long.
Yeah. You definitely have. Oh, that's another thing I liked about your message, boundaries, because you definitely have to learn boundaries, especially with people like that.
And boundaries are, that's when I first, and we got to go in a minute, but
Okay.
when I first started this in 2003, boundaries was a brand new thing. A lot of people weren't even talking about boundaries. They had no idea what that meant. So, Jay, can you just briefly explain what good boundaries are and how they're beneficial?
Basically, I call boundaries respecting yourself. So basically, again, if someone is telling you you're not all that, they're not respecting you in the way you deserve. So you either need to alter your communication with that person so that they're not affecting your energy, or in some cases, unfortunately, you need to cut that person off completely, which depending on the situation may not be feasible, but you have to find a way that that person is not affecting your self-respect and self-worth. You have to protect that at all costs.
Because there's nothing worse than that.
No, nothing.
So, again, Angie Hawkins has been our guest. Thank you so much for being here. Go to her website again, which is, I should remember this by now. Running
in slippers.
Oh Lord, it's been a long day, Angie. I started this at 5 a.m. Where am I? Hey, there you are. I started this at 5. My day started at 5 a.m. my time, so I'm a little tired now. So, but I want to thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Kevin. This was so enjoyable.
You are just phenomenal. And with that, we have a new closing. I'd love your opinion on it. So here we go. Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another because each other's